Alright, good morning, good morning. Today is September 7th, and here is our chart for today. So we have gold, and if you give me 1 second, I will just go ahead and get everything ready. We have news in 10 minutes, so I'm really not looking to trade for another 10 minutes. Oh, sorry about that. Okay. Okay, so the idea is that gold will react. We have red news for USD in 9 minutes, right? And also, it already closed above this area right here. This was the 5-minute high, which I would just put in a different color so you can notice what it is. Okay, so this is the 5-minute high right here. Price went above it and closed above it. Now all we technically need is a engulfing candle, right? But we would like to see it go up a little bit more, or at least after news. Let's see what the news does. Overall, we would like USD to be strong in this case so that gold drops. However, we could end up going higher, as today we're very strongly bullish and it is Thursday. We know that Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are usually the continuation days. Okay, so if we go on the daily chart right here, let me go ahead and although we do see that price is trending downwards, it has now reached this area right here of the last sell candle before this big rally, which could be seen as demand or order block or whatever it is you want to. I think demand would be drawn something like this. Let me go ahead and draw it out for you on the daily, or order block can be seen something like this, or you could just do the bodies as well. It doesn't really matter. And obviously if you think about support, then this would be your support right here, as you have 3 candle, and usually when there's 2 candles like this would be the support. So we could see it come back a little bit more, or because today is strongly bullish, we could see it trade even higher with the news in a little bit, which is in about 7 minutes now. So give me 1 second while let me go ahead and okay, so here it is. We're gonna go to so we're gonna assume if this is demand, right, we would still like it to come down a little bit more. So having a bearish bias is not a bad idea, but we would like to see what the news does first, because it could react off this area right here on the hourly and then continue dropping. On the 15-minute, it looks like it's reacting off this area right here, but it could go higher right into this big area, because this whole area is pretty much the last big move up before the down move here. So we'll see. Alright, let's take a look at what our 1 minute is doing. We have 6 minutes until news. Also, we do have some daily trades you could take if you want, which are both sides. Basically, you have Euro USD about to trigger. You could take a sell trade right here, and risk reward is 1.5. Okay, you could take it as, you could put a stop order at Euro USD at this level, which is I do believe 1.0700. If it breaks below that, we should see the next few days go down towards this level here. If it breaks the high, it should go up and test this imbalance right here. For USD pretty much if we break the low, we could go down and test this area right here, which is the last demand zone, or it could go up even further, and I do believe, yeah, it's above these highs right here. We could see price break these highs before having another reaction. So these are some trades you could take on a daily. This already happened. Pound USD already happened. We're not really going to talk about this one right here, but anyway, let's continue with AUD. We have another one. If it breaks this low right here, well, it's not a low, it's just below the low. There was a zone around here. Yeah, I could test this candle right here, the last down candle before the big rally. And if it breaks the high, well, that's a good question. Why didn't I have... Let me go ahead and put this over here. Give me 1 second. So we wanted it right here. Okay. We could see a test into this area right here. So we will do... Yeah, so all of these are pretty good 1.5 trades. USD Swiss, I believe we didn't have anything there. USD CAD, we do have something here. 1.25 take profit and stop loss. And last but not least, NZD. And all of these should be activated today during New York session. So the closest one to being activated would be Euro USD. But if you were trading off the daily charts, these trades are daily trades. I've tested this. I haven't made videos of it yet, but I've tested this strategy, and I actually have a friend who is doing he has a company that he's doing now based off this strategy right here. He's doing a funded, not actually a funded, it's a PAM basically, and he's pretty much funded 6 figures by his investors just off trading this daily method. So it has about like a 65% win rate, but it's on the daily, and all you do is activate the trades during the New York session. I will come out with videos of it, and I think it could be used to pass your challenge, but overall it is profitable. He uses it on a PAM and personal accounts, but obviously you could use it on a funded. Alright, so right now we're waiting 2 minutes for news. I am actually in some trades as well. I will talk about them in a little bit. But these trades are not based off gold or anything. Just waiting to see how news plays out. I do think price should go up for news. Looks like USD is dropping. Overall, I do believe gold, not gold, yeah, well, gold will drop, but I could be wrong. We'll see what happens. It could just continue blowing up because of news, but I guess we're about to find out in less than a minute. We do want it to be bearish, right? So we do want an engulfing candle. And the only engulfing it had after 820 was this one right here, but this is not the engulfing we look for. This is just the outside bar, so it's not an engulfing in a sense of what we look for. Alright, news in 10 seconds. We could see gold here shoot higher because of the news. And okay, so it's dropping. Let's see what it does. Obviously we can't take this trade. Okay. We're still watching. And looks like it wants to travel all the way. Yeah, if this trade, this is an engulfing, yes, but because it's based on news, we can't take this trade here. And gold just pretty much is headed towards the low of the day. Let's see if this price will reverse. Yeah, we're not seeing anything now. I think we wait for price to reverse up before we get into any trades, but it would have been nice if gold went up first before coming down. Now we're kind of stuck in a limbo where we might not get a trade today, but I think if it is going to continue going down, it is going to retest. So on the daily chart, this is what it looks like right now. It looks like it wants to now basically flip down. Which it has the power, it actually has the momentum to keep going down. We may see this flip and keep going down, which is a good thing if it does. But I would like it to come up a little bit more before okay, we have gold still going down. It made another engulfing candle, but we can't take this. It's too close to the low. And let's look at the daily trades now. So Euro USD would have been tagged in here on this daily trade right here. So we could watch it over the next couple hours and next day to see if it reaches down here, right? USD JPY went up, but not enough to trigger any trades. It hasn't triggered the sell down here or the buy up here. Pound USD, there was no trade on that. AUD USD looks like it wants to go down, but it hasn't triggered any trades yet. USD CAD may trigger on the upside, and NZD USD may trigger on the downside now. So Euro USD would be the only trade you're triggered in. Let's take a look at gold. Alright. Let's see what USD JPY is doing. Okay. Alright, we will be... Give me 1 second. Okay. So Euro USD would be a nice daily trade so far. It would be currently in the money. We'll see how it goes for the next few days, but probably by Monday we should see it take profit. And if you're risking 1% per trade, this would be a 1.5% win. Or if it loses, then obviously you have this might trigger, and if it wins, you're up 0.5. If it loses, then it's fine. Alright, so far nothing really going on. Let's take a look at these other trades. Okay. Alright. Right now we're just waiting to see what happens, but We'll see. Looks like gold is trying to make up for what it did here. Things are starting to turn around. Looks like gold just had a little bit of a, let's see. It could just be reaching into this imbalance right here, because we could see that this is the imbalance for it to keep going lower on a short time frame, or it could continue going higher. But I do believe it's still just an imbalance. It's gonna rebalance a little bit, then continue dropping. Hopefully we could get a trade. We'll keep waiting the next 20 minutes and see how it does. We have the 8 a.m. open right here, midnight open right here. Price is trading below the midnight open. So if we were to sell, we would have wanted it above the midnight open. But then again, if markets were selling off, right? If markets were actually buying. So if, for example, if you wanted to buy, right? And you were an institutional trader, you wouldn't want to buy above the 8:30 open or above the midnight open. You would wait for price to go lower. So even if this is a reversal, you took out all these stop losses right here, right? You took out all these stop losses, but then you broke underneath it and retested and it failed, right? So this could be a sign of like continuation downwards. But if you take a look at it from another perspective, you've taken out these lows, you've taken out these lows, you've taken out these lows, and all these lows here. So where do you go now? You aim for higher pricing over here and over here. Unless of course you go halfway, then you continue taking out the lows, which are these lows right here. But we'll see. Let me go ahead and remove this. Alright, so now we're just waiting. Okay. Alright, so I think if gold has to keep going down, it's probably going to retest this area here. Let's look on the daily what it looks like. It's still bullish on the daily, but it could keep going lower. If it went higher and kept going higher, maybe we have a better chance to... Okay, so the idea is that it's going to come into this area right here. Let me go ahead and okay, this is the imbalance, and here you have this area right here. So price broke this area and then created that imbalance, which it may retest to keep going lower. Okay, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, for sure. Because I do believe, I think we have time now, honestly. But, so basically I've done back tests on this, and let me see if I can find my friend's, my Forex Fund's book on his, give me 1 second, I'll show you his results. Or, not my Forex Fund, sorry. My FX book. Let me see. Okay. Give me 1 second. I'll find the, I'm looking for the, my FX book so I could show you guys. Hmm. I don't think he has a public anymore, but let's see. Give me 1 second. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I can't really find it, but I will, I will show you guys whenever I get a chance. However, I do want to, show you how it works, so you could kind of backtest it by yourself. But, so basically, I asked my friend for his link for his MyFX book, but the daily strategy is pretty simple. Let's go with, we'll start with, can I look at gold really quick? Okay, gold's not really doing anything. Okay. Okay, so basically, let's take a look at Euro USD, and we'll take a few examples. Can you hear me fine? Yeah. My Forex one really hurt us. It's okay though. It happens. Wasn't expecting that actually. I don't think anybody was expecting that. But it's fine. My only suggestion is, if you're gonna use a funded challenge, try to use funded challenges outside of the US and Canada, mostly outside of the US, like FTMO or Funded Next. I know a lot of people have been looking into Funded Next. A lot of people really like Funded Next, and yeah, so I would suggest those two. FTMO, Funded Next. I know they're expensive, but it's what you pay for you know, if you want to trust them with your money, because FTMO has been around the longest, right? It's been around and it's outside the US and Canada, and it's never really had any problems. And Funded Next is also outside. They're fairly new, but they have really good deals for a new funded challenge, and they seem pretty solid. So those two. But I'm not even sure if a lot of the US ones will get closed down, because you have to think about it. There's people in the US that own funded programs, like Daryl from Apex Investing, and this dude has been around for years. And if he's able to get through with Apex and not get in trouble with the SEC, then whatever he's doing, then he probably knows what he's doing. And I think it was more that my Forex funds was actually ripping people off with like the spreads and closing trades. Like, obviously they didn't do it to the majority of people, but, or like everybody, but you know, if they edited something that could have easily changed a lot of accounts trades, like, you know, closed out a lot of accounts, or during news. I don't know if you guys remember last month, was it last month or the month before, when they had a news trade and we took that news trade. It was on AUD, and our GBP AUD trade wouldn't close out. So even though it was a 2R or 3R trade, it was basically break even on my Forex funds because it slipped, the stop loss slipped. I don't know if you guys remember that, but that is a problem. And I think that is an example of what the SEC is trying to punish them for. I think that was on purpose. And if you really think about it, it makes sense now that they were the only ones, because I have multiple accounts, right? So when I took that trade, I took it on, there was like three. I took it on the Funded Trader, Funded Engineer, and I took it on True Forex Funds and my Forex Funds. So I took it on 4 accounts, and my Forex Funds was the only account that slipped. So that is kind of suspicious now that the SEC is saying that they've been doing illegal shit. But let us take a look at Euro USD. Okay. Are you able to see the chart fine? Do I need to remove it? I could remove the indicator actually. I don't need the indicator. So we only have one thing. Okay. But let me know if you could see the chart fine now. If you can, okay, so basically it's pretty simple, right? On the day, and you only activate it during New York session, okay? So let's get started. Give me 1 second. Okay, so I haven't really showed people this yet because, I don't know, I haven't gotten time to do it, but I'm going to show you how to look at this in both perspectives. So you're taking 2 trades, okay? And you're not taking them at the same time, but you're setting 2 trades every time. Now here's the way you take this trade. First thing you look for, and we will go from, let's say July, right here when the swing started, right? You're looking for a previous high or low to be broken, okay? We'll start here because this is where the example. You're waiting for this to be broken, right? And this is all my friend does as well for his PAM, which he has over 6 figures in, and I've seen his MyFX results on multiple accounts. He has over 50% gained in the past 3 months ish, and he's told me about this months and months ago, but I didn't really trade the daily chart besides our weekly trades. So here's what he does. Previous high, it could even be this one here, it doesn't really matter, right? You're just looking for a previous high or low to be broken. Once that's broken, you're looking for a candle that is an indecision candle. Now, an indecision candle is a candle that has a body that's smaller than both sides of the wicks. So right here is a perfect example. So price breaks this high, right? And look what happens here. It has to be within, I would say within 3 candles, right? It has to happen within 3 candles. Once it has that indecision small candle, the best way I could say is that usually if you read Larry Williams' book, Street Smart, you basically, after a small range candle, there's always a big range candle coming up, right? It doesn't matter when, it could be a few days or not. On the daily chart, when you have a small range candle, you can expect a big range candle within the next few days. So I give it 2, after it breaks the high or low, I'll give it 2-3 candles. But here's what I do. So when it breaks that high, right, within the candle that it broke the high on, and then plus 2 candles, I want it to be an indecision candle, which is a smaller body than both sides of the wick. Okay? Now let me go ahead and move this to the side so we look at the chart straight. Once you see this, right, the next day you want to put a buy stop at the high. Now I don't do it at the high, okay? My friend does it at the high. What I like to do is use institutional numbers. So I'm gonna make 2 zeros, okay? I'm gonna ignore 2-0. I'll put it to the next pricing that has 2 zeros. So in this case, this line right here is at 1.10271. So I'm gonna put it at, so I would put my trade to start at 1.10300, okay? And my stop loss will be half of the wick of the previous. And if you can't get the right half, just put your Fibonacci from the low of the wick to where the wick stops, and just find the 50%, and that's where your stop loss will be, right? And your take profit is 1.5, okay? And you do the same thing. So you would do this during when New York session starts. So you could do this at 7 a.m. or so when this candle happens, the indecision candle, the next morning New York, like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, you set the orders. These are sell stop and buy stop orders, okay? And then you do the same thing. You're setting 2 orders, right? So the stop loss will be half of the candle. And obviously the entry here, because it's 1.09768, I'm going to put it to 1.9700, right? So the trade will trigger when price goes there. Stop loss will be, take profit will be 1.5. And obviously, sometimes it takes out both sides, okay? But that's rare. But if that happens, then one of the trades is going to lose, the other one's going to win. And if both of them lose, right, if you risk 1%, worst case scenario, both lose, which you lose 2%. But in most cases, it's going to trigger one and it's going to win, or it's going to trigger both, but one will win, one will lose. Obviously, because your stop loss is the 50% of the previous wick. But in this case, for example, right here, if we go back to this day, let's go back to this day really quick. Actually, let's see what gold is doing. Okay, so gold is just doing nothing right now. We're not going to look at gold. We'll go back to the chart. Okay, so on this day, so this day ends, right? And let's go to the next day at New York session, right? So I'll just fast forward to New York session. So it doesn't matter that it broke the high, because you wouldn't have gotten triggered there oh, sorry. Let's go back to 7 o'clock, right? Anytime after 7 o'clock, it doesn't matter if it broke it before 7, right? If it's above your entry at 7 o'clock, then put this buy stop to a buy limit instead of a buy stop, right? Because at 7 o'clock when you wake up, this is when you're going to set the order, or you could set it anytime before 8:30 because we know news comes at 8:30, right? So let's say you woke up maybe at 7:45 or 7:30, right? You woke up at 7:30, so you placed your buy stop there and your sell stop there. Clearly you got triggered in at 8:30 because that's the news, right? So you could have even put it in any time before 8:30. You would have put in the order, and obviously after 8:30 you got triggered and it hit take profit, right? And since you hit take profit, you close this side. When you hit take profit, you close the opposite side of your trade, okay? And that's all you do. So let's go back on the daily, and you could do this on all the pairs or just major pairs. It doesn't really matter. Always use 1.5R is what I found. Now my friend does use 1R because obviously the win rate I told you is 65. He tested a lot of pairs and it was between 62 to 70%. So I just put it at 65 on average, right? So if it's 65%, even 1R is profitable, right? You just have to take bigger risk if you're using 1R. Now I use 1.5 because sometimes, like I said, it triggers both sides, and if one loses and you win the other, if you're using 1R, you're basically just break even. I like to have the fact that you can get some profit, okay? Let me check what's going on with the... Okay, so let's go back and now let's continue. So you won that trade, right? And let's see what happens. So here we have another indecisive candle, right? Let's look on the left to see if it broke any highs. And you could see right here, the candle before it broke a high, and then you had the indecision candle, right? So what happens here? You have to do the same thing. You put the short at the nearest institutional number or round number. It's not necessarily institutional because who knows what it really is, but it's a round number. You put stop loss at 50% of the previous, right? And then you do the same thing. So pretend right now we're setting the order in the morning, right? So we're gonna do this and we're gonna put it at 500 right here. Put stop loss at 50%, and take profit again will be 1.5. Sometimes you could use lower profit if you see like an imbalance. Obviously this goes up to this level. There's an imbalance right there, so we're not going to use that, but just an example right here. Let's go to 8 o'clock the next morning, or not 8 o'clock. We'll just say 7 o'clock. Okay, so 7 o'clock is right here. So you set your orders right now. Let's say you set your orders right now. And we're waiting for either side to trigger. It either has to trigger right here or right here. And that's what we're waiting for. And when it doesn't trigger during this day, right? Because this day, let me go back 1 second. Because this day did not trigger, if you go back on the daily, it was an inside bar. Well, it took out the high. So now you use the next day's levels, which will probably be the same in this example. So let me go back to 15 minute and let's see the next day. We're just going to drag this out. And we'll drag out this a little bit and let's continue. So the higher side got triggered, but it didn't get triggered during New York. Let's see which side got triggered during New York session. So at 7:15 it traded back down. So if you set this order, it would have triggered right there. And let's see, that side gets stopped out, right? Because it gets stopped out and not take profit, this side is still open, okay? This time you don't need to wait, right? So this side is still open. Let me pause it. And let's look at 7 o'clock. You're taking a sell right here. And let's see if it hits stop loss. If it hits both sides stop loss, then you just leave it. There's nothing you do, right? You lost 2% if it hits stop loss. So it hasn't hit stop loss yet because you entered the trade at 10 o'clock. It entered you. It wouldn't have entered you here because this is during London. So you would reset the order. And let's see if it hits stop loss. It hits take profit, right? And if it did hit stop loss on both sides, that's fine. You still lost. You lost 2%. But if it hits take profit, you lost 1% here, but you made 1.5 here. Oh, sorry. So 1.5 was right here. Sorry. You made 1.5% here. And that gives you what? A 0.5% take profit. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but let's continue going just to see what it does for the rest of. And this is only one pair, right? So overall, you're up 1.5 plus 0.5. So you're up 2R, right? And let's see if we could get a. And also, here you could have set another order right here. You could have set another 2 orders because this was also an indecisive candle, right? But you already had a sell order set, so you could have set another buy order. And if it did go up, you would have gotten triggered on the buy and won. But obviously, we didn't need to do that anyway in hindsight because it went down. But this indecisive candle does not count because there is no low on the left side that was taken. So you're not setting anything here. There's still no low taken. And right here we get a low taken. And let me check if this is an indecisive candle. So here we have the candle body was bigger than the top wick, and the candle body was bigger than the bottom wick. So okay, so there is no trade here. Within the next 3 candles, this one is also not indecisive. It takes the low. Let me go back. So then it takes this low, and this is on daily charts, so don't think you're not going to be able to catch these because this is on the daily chart, right? So you only need to look at your charts once every day. Like market closes today, you could take a look at the charts tomorrow, right? I mean, after market closes to see what trades you're taking tomorrow. Let me quickly check how Euro USD is doing. Okay, Euro USD is, well, this is not the right one. Let me see if I can make another Euro USD chart just to see what Euro USD is doing. Okay, so it's still going. It doesn't hit take profit the next day. It could hit take profit in a day or two. It doesn't really matter. But let's take a look here. So this low is broken. And then this day, you could see clearly this is an indecisive candle because this candle here, I'm pretty sure, yeah, the body is not bigger than the top wick, and the body is definitely not bigger than the bottom wick, okay? So in this case, what do? We set our, we could even, let me just set it up right now. Let's go here. I'll talk later. So 700 would be right here. And half the body is like right here. 1.5 is right here. So you could decide 1.5 is good here actually. And we'll set a sell order at, we want 2 zeros, so we will set it at 100. Stop loss is 50% of the top wick. Okay, and 1.5 is down here. Okay, and we go back to the 15-minute and assume that you set these orders up in the morning, right? And let's see, so you've set the order now, right? You've set the orders, and looks like the upside gets triggered, and it hits take profit right there. So if we go back to the daily now, this is in August actually, and we could just delete the bottom side and we just keep going. Now it's broken, it hasn't broken a high, it broke this high here, so let's see if we get an indecisive candle in the next two. So here's an indecisive candle. Sorry about that, I was trying to move this. So this hit take profit. Just to double check, this is indecisive. Yeah, the 50% line is still in the wick, so we know that the wick is. So we go short right here, and we would go short at right there. Stop loss is 50% of the top wick, and take profit is 1.5. Now if it has to take another low, you could always set it to 1.25, because like I said, my friend used 1R, right? So you could use 1.2 because there's a imbalance right here, and it could reverse after it hits this imbalance. So you could set 1.25. I'll just set 1.5, it doesn't really matter. And on this other side, you put a long position right here plus, okay, so we'll go there. Stop loss is 50% of the wick, and okay, let's take a look at 15 minutes. Again, we wait until 7 to place the orders. So this does not trigger here. If at 7 o'clock it's already hit the level you should have placed your order, instead of placing a buy stop, you're placing a sell. Instead of placing a sell stop, you're placing a sell limit, right? So if it comes back up into there, you'll get triggered. And let's see if it gets triggered. It gets triggered right there. So let's see what happens. Looks like it's still going. We're in the sell, so I'll drag the sell out just so we know where the stop loss is. It hits stop loss, right? Right here. So now will the buy get activated? The buy gets activated, and it may very well hit stop loss on both sides. We don't know. It almost hits take profit and then reverses. And this is where you could either take both losses. Wait, let me look on the daily, see if we would have placed any new orders. No, we wouldn't have. So you either, if you didn't place a new sell, I wouldn't place a new sell. I would just take the loss, 2%, whatever, and then keep going, because there's other pairs that you will get triggered on, right? You don't need to place. Obviously, if you placed another sell, if we go back to the 15-minute, when you lost that trade, it obviously would have hit take profit. But if we go on the daily, let's go back. You get enough trades, you know, you don't need to keep placing trades. I'm not sure if you have any questions, but if you do, you can let me know. But anyway, a new low gets taken. Let's see if we get indecisive candle within 3 candles. we do get one there, and I wouldn't consider this a new low gets broken, right? We get an indecisive candle right here. You could consider this indecisive as well. Let me go back or let's just let's go forward. How many days is this? This is near the end of August. So obviously, if we're looking at this from hindsight, on this indecisive candle, right? The buy triggered. I don't think it reached 1 point whatever R, but then the sell triggered, and then the sell obviously would have triggered 1.5, right? And a new low gets taken, and this is indecisive, and this hit take profit right here, right? Because I do believe that's a 1.5 R. And a new buy gets taken, there's no indecisive. So if I'm just doing this in fast forward because I don't want to go through a whole back test, right? A new sell gets taken right here. And now we have indecisive, and then we took the trade. So all in all, I would say you won here, lost here, won here, won here. So that's what? 1 0, 1 1, 2 1. Then you went 2 losses here with 1 win, so you're about 3-3 here, and then you're about 4-4 right here because you lost the up and then won the down, and then right here you win 1, so you're like 5-4, right? But the thing is, there's different pairs you're going to be getting trades on, and even with a 5-4 trade, right? If you're going 5 times 1.5, take away 4 losses, it's still good enough risk reward for one pair, right? And this was in a time of like 1 month and 2 weeks or something. Yeah, about 1 month and 2 weeks, which is not too bad for a daily strategy. Now, on one pair, it may not be worth it. But if you're using every pair, it's going to be worth it long term. And like I said, I have a guy who's doing this on every pair, and every month he makes about between 5 to 15%. So, and he has a PAM account, so the fact that he has 6 figures in a PAM account shows that this is probably worth your time. And since it works on every pair, and all you have to do is wake up in the all you have to do is in the evening time, you simply just go on your chart. So for example, let's take a look at this one right here. Okay. Let's say you see this happening right here. This low gets broken, and then this is an indecisive candle. All you know is you set this up after the market closes, right? You set your trade up, how you're going to place it on your trading view, right? And let's say right here. And 1.5. Well, actually, yeah, it's going to be right there. Whatever. And we go like, I'll try to make it just brief. I won't really perfect it, but your stop loss should be somewhere around there. And your take profit, let's say you used 1.25, right? Just for an example. And you use these highs right here. Well, you want to use maybe a little bit. So 1 point whatever, right? And if we go on the 15-minute, I'll fast forward it just to save time. But let's assume it's 7 o'clock, right? Now it's 7 and you're awake. All you do is just you set the orders, and you could stop. You could leave and just wait to see if the trade triggered. If the trade did not trigger by market close, then remove the orders, because it may trigger overnight, right? and wait till 7 o'clock the next day to set the orders again. And let's see, does it trigger then? It triggered, and you just wait to hit stop loss or take profit. It doesn't really matter what it hits, right? Because you know you don't really care. Whichever one it hits, it hits. If it hits stop loss, then you know the other side might get triggered and it might hit take profit on the other side. Obviously, in this case, you did 1.25 and you got take profit, but if I keep fast forwarding it, let's assume it hits stop loss right here. You then got triggered, I believe. Let's see what day you got triggered. Remember, if you hit stop loss, you still gotta wait till New York session to get triggered. It gets triggered, and let's see, does it hit take profit? So you'd be in this trade from last week. So this trade would have been going on for like what? When did it get triggered? 1 day so far, 2 days, and oops, let me go back. It hits take profit right there. So this is today. So in this case, obviously it had hit take profit, but if it had hit stop loss first, right, you still got in the trade on the sell and you were in it for 2 days. Let me see if it would have entered at the right time, right? And if it didn't enter, then you just don't take it, right? So it would have entered at 245, so you never got into this trade. But luckily, anyway, it won. But that's pretty much what you do for this method. Let's take a look at gold and see what happened. Alright, so gold pretty much didn't give us an entry. It probably did right here and you would be in this trade, but I did not feel comfortable entering this trade here. I do believe it's probably going to keep going higher. But anyway, I will make videos on the daily strategy. I hope that you guys will learn something from this. And like I said, I will try to get the information from a friend who could show that this has been working long term, because he does have MyFX book. Since he uses a PAM, you can't attach your funded accounts to MyFX book because they don't allow it. But since he's using a PAM with this strategy, he does have a MyFX book that I will show you guys. But yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys have a good day, and I will catch you guys tomorrow.